Are we okay? The mental health journey of young Americans introduction. Are we okay? A simple question, yet so profound. A question that anyone should be able to answer. But for many young Americans today, it brings a quiet pause, even a sting. Have you ever felt like you're living in a world full of noise? Fast-paced routines, dazzling social media, constant notifications? But deep down, there's a quiet exhaustion, a sense of loneliness, and an unshakable emptiness? If so, you're not alone. Across the United States, millions of young people are silently struggling with feelings that are hard to name. Anxiety, depression, uncertainty about the future, and especially the painful belief that they're never enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, not okay enough. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, depression and anxiety rates among youth, ages 18 to 25, have reached alarming levels. Suicide remains the second leading cause of death among those aged 10 to 24. But behind those cold statistics are real people, hearts breaking in silence. We are living in what is often called the connected era. Social media, technology, and information are right at our fingertips. Yet young people have never felt more disconnected from themselves. They are taught how to ace exams, how to polish resumes, how to present themselves online. But rarely are they taught how to sit with their feelings, name their pain, or embrace their imperfections. This essay is not a how-to manual. It's not a list of quick-fix tips. It is an invitation to slow down, to listen, and to look honestly at the emotional landscape of a generation that desperately wants to be seen, heard, and held with compassion. Part 1. Productivity culture and the invisible pressure. In the U.S., from an early age, young people are taught that success is everything. High GPA, perfect college applications, extracurricular achievements, leadership experience, internships. These aren't extras, they're expected. In this highly competitive, globalized world, many are swept into a whirlwind called productivity culture, where every moment must be useful, every action must be optimized, and rest is often mistaken for laziness. Social media adds a layer of comparison that's often toxic. Young people don't just see the lives of their peers, they see the highlight reels, vacations, celebrations, dream jobs, perfect bodies, ideal relationships. The result? A creeping, chronic feeling of, why am I not enough? Another common phenomenon is FOMO, fear of missing out. Many young people feel pressured to attend everything, do everything, be everything. But the more they chase, the more empty, exhausted, and disconnected they become. Productivity isn't inherently bad, but when it becomes a measure of our self-worth, we begin to lose touch with who we really are. This generation is stuck in a loop of do more, prove more, burn out, keep going, without ever pausing to ask, am I living or just surviving? Part 2. Mental health is not weakness. One of the biggest reasons why young people don't seek help is social stigma. In many circles, admitting you're struggling emotionally is seen as dramatic, weak, or attention-seeking. Phrases like, just think positive, you'll get over it, or don't make a big deal out of it, end up invalidating real pain. Many young people admit that they don't speak up about their mental health because they're afraid of being judged, misunderstood, or dismissed. This leads to silent suffering, which, left unaddressed, can escalate into something far more dangerous. In school, students are taught math, science, and history, but not how to deal with emotions, how to set boundaries, or how to seek support. As a result, many grow up emotionally illiterate, unable to recognize their feelings, express their needs, or know when it's time to reach out. We need to normalize the idea that emotions aren't problems, they're data. Being hurt doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're human. Going to therapy is no different than going to the dentist. It's self-care, not shame. Emotional literacy is essential, not just for healing, but for surviving in a world that moves too fast for hearts to catch up. Part 3. Real stories. When the silence breaks. When young people are given safe spaces to speak, The stories that emerge are often heartbreaking. A sophomore at an Ivy League university shared, "Every morning I put on the mask of, I'm fine, but every night I wondered if I should still be alive." A 17-year-old high school girl said, "Everyone thinks I have it all. Straight A's, cheer captain, a happy family. But no one sees me crying alone in the school bathroom during lunch." A 22-year-old recovering from alcohol abuse admitted, "I just needed someone to ask me, 'How are you really?' instead of, 'How's school?'" These stories are not rare. They're just rarely heard. The most dangerous thing isn't the pain itself, but when pain is ignored, minimized, or met with silence. Part 4. What helps us heal? Within every young person lies a seed of resilience. The problem is not that they are weak, but that they often lack a safe space to grow. What helps most is human connection. A real friend, a compassionate teacher, a non-judgmental community. These can be lifelines. More and more young people are also turning to therapy, not just to fix something broken, but to better understand themselves. Journaling, to give voice to the parts of them they don't show the world. Meditation, yoga, mindfulness, to reconnect the mind and body. A new trend is the concept of mental fitness, treating mental well-being like physical fitness. Just like we train our bodies, we must also train our minds to breathe, reflect, and regulate. Part 5. Rebuilding community. So no one has to suffer alone. Healing should not be a solo journey. That's why we must build communities of compassion, where mental health is not taboo and everyone has a place. Schools should offer emotional education and resources for students to learn about themselves and others. Workplaces must create policies that protect mental well-being, offer flexible leave, and train emotionally aware leaders. Families should become safe spaces, not command centers. Technology can support this shift through mental health apps, AI therapy bots, or safe peer networks. We need to rewrite our cultural script. From silence is strong to speaking up is brave. Part 6. An invitation. Let's talk about feelings. It's time we normalize conversations about feelings. Just like we ask, "What's for lunch?" Or, "Did you finish your assignment?" We should learn to ask, "How are you feeling today?" Is something weighing on your heart? Do you need someone with you right now? Remember, vulnerability is strength. When a young person says, "I'm hurting," they're not being dramatic, they're being courageous. If you've made it this far and you're thinking, "This sounds like me," you're not alone. There are people who feel the same way. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Are we okay? Maybe not yet, but if we start listening, sharing, and showing up for each other, one day the answer might be, yes, now we are okay. Conclusion. It's time we chose to care. If you've made it this far, thank you. Not just for reading this essay, but for listening, really listening, to the quiet voices of millions of young souls trying to make sense of their lives in an overwhelming era. We live in a time of infinite choices, constant connectivity, and nonstop information. Yet ironically, this generation, one of the most talented, creative, and driven, is experiencing a profound sense of spiritual and emotional disorientation. Not because they're weak, but because they often lack the space, the support, and the belief that their pain matters. We need to change the system at its roots. From education to family, from culture to technology. It's time for every layer of society to accept a truth. Mental health is not just an individual issue. It's a collective responsibility. We must build a new culture where saying, "I'm not okay," isn't shameful, but met with compassion. Resting isn't seen as laziness, but as a vital part of sustainable performance. Success isn't measured only by grades or income, but by emotional awareness and the ability to live authentically. You don't need to be a therapist to make a difference. Sometimes all it takes is asking someone, "How are you really feeling today?" Sitting beside someone in silence instead of trying to fix their sadness. Sharing your own story so others know they're not alone. Healing is never a straight line. There will be heavy days, sleepless nights, and moments when giving up seems easier. But there will also be mornings when light spills into your room, a simple message from an old friend, a moment when you whisper to yourself, maybe I can keep going. Maybe I still deserve love. And if you're hurting right now, please remember this. You are not weird. You are not too sensitive. You don't have to carry everything on your own. You are simply learning how to survive in a world that hasn't yet learned how to care for the human soul. And the fact that you're still here, reading this, breathing, is already a quiet kind of victory. Final note, let's build a generation that loves itself. We don't need a perfect generation. We need a generation that knows how to breathe, how to cry, how to care, how to fall, and how to rise again. A generation brave enough to ask one another, are you really okay? And willing to stay, no matter the answer. If each of us begins with the smallest acts, a question, a hug, a kind look, the world will slowly become a place where young people don't have to force themselves to survive. They will learn to live, truly live. Are we okay? Maybe not yet, but if we learn to ask, to listen, and to show up for one another, then one day the answer might just be, yeah, now we're okay.